Welcome back. We are still on the Android navigation, still trying to add components to our quiz application. This time we're going to be handling the backstack manipulation in the sense whereby we want the hierarchy to move just the way we want it. When we get to the game one, we want it to actually go back to the start of the game, not just a step back, which is going to be probably inside those questions. And even at that, when we have a try again as well, want it to actually go back to the start of the game, not just a step backward to inside the questions that you might have probably gotten wrong. So we're going to manipulate these, and I'm going to show you on how to achieve this. Head straight down to the navigation.xml, right? In the rest navigation, we have the navigation.xml. All right, I'm going to close this. So we're going to have it spread out. We're going to add the pop-up. So we're going to like pop it up, take it away. When it comes to pop it up, it depends on when you have it inclusively or you take off the inclusive aspect of it. So we're going to pop up the game fragments with an inclusive to true. So you go to the editor, you move around the attributes pane, which I'm going to kind of expand out. So we're going to do this on the game fragments to game over. So now the game fragments to game over, we're going to start it up here. So I'm going to click on this. From there, you're going to have the attributes, which you could say the pop-up to and the pop-up to inclusive. Now we're going to pop it up to where? We're going to pop it up to the game fragment over here, and we're going to add an inclusive of true. So we're going to create a flag true. So from that, we've done that. So it's actually going to pop the game fragment away. So that's just it. Now the second action is the action game fragment to the game one fragment, which is this. Now what are we going to do to this as well? We're going to pop this up to the game fragment. Then we're going to take away the game fragment from this, which is game fragment, pop to game fragment, and we're going to put an inclusive of true as well. Just the same thing we did to the game over fragment. All right. So the third action we're going to do here is we're going to connect the game over fragment to the game fragment. Now the game over fragment, we're going to so we're going to do a pop to title fragment. Now from the game over fragment, we're going to move to the title fragment. So invariably, we want to take this off when we click on the try again button in the game over fragment. So it should take us down to the title fragment. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to click on the game over fragment. That's from the game fragment to the game over fragment. And this time, you're going to select pop to title fragment in the editor. In the fragment, so the fragment should be, let's get to see the ID. Game over fragment. Now it's going to be game over fragment itself. Game over fragment. Oh, we have it as 2. All right. Actions. Deep link. So we're going to add an action, which is going to connect us towards the title. So invariably, this is what we're going to do. All right. And we're going to select pop to title fragment with an inclusive. We're going to off this inclusive to false. All right. So we're going to turn that off. So we created an action that actually will connect us the game over fragment to the game fragment, and we select the pop to title fragment in the editor when we use an inclusive of turn off. Now the fourth one, we're going to actually in the game one fragment, we're going to add an action connecting the game one fragment to the game fragment. Okay, okay. I think this should be to the game fragment. All right, so this should be to the game fragment. And now this time is going to be title, and we leave it like that. Okay. So now the game one now to the game fragment, because we have invariably game fragment to game one fragment. Yes. So now it's going to come back from game one fragment to the game fragment. All right. So that's how it's going to be. So we're going to use a pop to title, and we're going to leave the pop up to inclusive as false. So let me do a quick recap. We actually did a connection from the game fragment to the game one fragment. We had that connection earlier. So what we only do is we pop to the game fragment and add an inclusive of true. So this is actually going to pop out. So we're going to take it out. And the same connection from game fragment to game over fragment, we still do the pop to the game fragment and add an inclusive of true. All right. Now the third one is we did a connection from the game one fragment to the game over fragment, and we now pop it to the title fragment. So we are moving to the title fragment. And we did an inclusive of false. Likewise, the game over fragment, we did a connection to the game fragment, and we pop it to the title fragment, and we did an inclusive of false. So after that, we need to add an on-click handler for the try again button that navigates to the game fragment. So we're going to be using some action. So I could open the project pan, and let me head straight to the game over fragment. So I'm going to actually issue an on-click listener here. So I'll be doing binding dot try again button dot set on-click listener now. All right, we're going to set on-click listener. We're going to use the view because we're actually going to open that up. Let's get to use the view here. Set on-click listener. So we need the view itself. So I could expand this. Okay. We need a view. We need a view. Find the nav controller. Dot navigate r.id, point to the ID. Now we need the action game fragment, game over fragment to the game fragment. So that's what we need. All right, now we're having kind of, all right. So with that, we've been able to bind the try button to the view, where we're going to actually pass, push down, navigate it to the game fragment. So now we'll be able to pop that inclusive true. So we'll do the same thing for game one. Now we do the binding. Dot next match button. Dot set on click listener. When it's set on click listener, we also need to do the view. Now we're going to find the nav controller, navigate. This time is action, the game, one fragment to game fragment. All right, so we are good to go. Well, fine, I'll be testing this immediately in the emulator and let's see what we have. So we're first of all going to try again, like get a question wrong. We'll try again, and we'll try for the completed questions as well. So let's exercise a little patience for this to build up. So we'll test it out and see what we have. All right, built successfully. Okay, so let's start to play. I'll be kind of all right. Which system has Android? Okay, we all know it's great, but let's pick a wrong answer. All right, try again. So it takes us back to the first question. All right. Now let's complete it. What is Android Jetpack? Android Jetpack, all of this. Build system, Gradle. Pushing a structured data into a layout. Congratulations. All right, so it takes us down to the first question. If you notice, get to understand what this is. Not just taking you back one step. Look at the question itself, 1 and 3. So that's just the kind of uh, uh, behavior we're expecting. All right. So with the use of this, we could actually get all these set up when you try to manipulate your backstack, and everything actually works as cool for you. So let's try to do it one more time. Register app with the app launcher. Let me pick a wrong answer. Let me do a back button. All right. See the back button. The back button takes you back to the play quiz. So we are actually handling the backstack here. The same thing with the buttons, which we actually handled. If you notice, we handled the button to take us back to the game fragments. But now the backstack, inflate layout in fragments, on create view, Android navigation components, nav controller, the build system from Android, Gradle. Congratulations. Now, if we should issue out the backstack, ideally it should take us back to the first question, or take us back to the questions. Now, a backstack, it takes us back to the title because we've actually popped away the question. That's the game fragment is popped away. So, but if you should click that at the button, it takes you back to the game fragment. But now, if you should use the back button, it pops the game fragment out and takes you back to the title. So try to understand that we actually use it. We undo that using the backstack manipulation. All right. So thank you very much. And the next video is still building on the quiz to understand how to use the Android uh, navigation. We'll be dealing with adding the support for up button. So let's have the up button here and let's see the interaction. Let's see the behavior we have with up button and the back button. Thank you very much.